Yo, what up, chat? How's it going, guys? Hello. Happy whatever today is. Wednesday? Yeah, I think today's Wednesday. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Hello. How are we? Let me just catch up with chat here for a second. Yo, Ritol, I believe. Hello. How's it going? How are you, sir? Ched as well. What is up? Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. Hope you're having a good week. Sorry for my delay. I know we're live a little later than we normally are. Sorry about that. I had a busy morning. I had a very busy morning today. I'm probably going to have just an overall busy day today in general. So, yeah. As you may have noticed, chat, I announced something yesterday. Yo, USMC chick, how's it going? Hello. It's Cyber Wednesday. Not really. What's up, live coding? How's it going, dude? The cat was not hello as well. How are we? How is everybody? We put out a very cool announcement yesterday, something that I have been working on for quite some time now, actually, believe it or not. It's remember, I know you remember how you guys, I always tell you, like, we're working on stuff, don't worry, it's gonna happen. This is what I mean. We don't try and churn out tons and tons of content yet, at least, mostly because we're still trying to get our feet wet and a lot of other things as well. However, there are still things that obviously we want to keep moving, keep growing, and keep trying to evolve. And so one of them was I am going to be doing my first ever front-end master's course, which is pretty awesome. Shout out to Prime, by the way. He was kind enough to connect us with them and get us a good conversation started with them. But yeah, the long story of it, if anybody is curious about what this is, what is this workshop going to be, and what does it all mean? Okay. So it's called DevOps for developers. And the main reason why it's called that is because a lot of you are developers who want to know more about DevOps. I don't really have it, I don't really know if I could, try and make a course that is focused on, senior level engineers and like a specific niche group of people. I think what I wanted to do with this first course was really focus more on like understanding as well as like practicality of how to do things in DevOps. And so like one of the first things I say in here is essentially that like this workshop is designed to radically realign your perspective on DevOps and its purpose in software development. It will educate you on how DevOps is utilized to solve real organizational challenges that any company, small or large, can deal with. The reason why it is said this way, and the reason why I formulated it this way, is because I don't want anyone going into this thinking that this is just technology. DevOps is not technology. As a matter of fact, when I submitted my outline, even one of the people at Front End Masters was like, "Oh wow, that's a lot more businessy than I expected it to be." And I'm like, "Yo, that's like that is DevOps. That is very much what I do. I look at the business, the concerns of the business, as well as the concerns of our developers and things like that, and I work towards improving those aspects, right?" So that's a lot of like what this course is going to be focused on is making sure that, one, you have a good understanding of what DevOps is, because I think a lot of things that make DevOps really awesome is how empowering the role can be. I'm in a position right now where if I want to sit down and, just do something to a pretty certain extent, I can. I've got very good autonomy, you know what I mean, and things like that. And when you're in DevOps, you have a bit of that. You know what I mean? You have a bit of that, like, okay, well, we know that, they're going to be making these changes or doing these things and so forth and so on. And your job is not just creating buckets in the cloud. Like, seriously, if you work in DevOps, or if you've ever heard of DevOps and you basically just think like, oh, Ansible, Pulumi, Terraform, blah, blah, like that's not DevOps. Those are tools that DevOps, uses, right? But that is not DevOps. And so my main goal of this workshop is to gain knowledge, to to define the why, what, and who for DevOps at any company, right? And this is very important to me. This is basically what I want you guys to be able to do is I want you guys to be able to go to a company where even if you don't work in DevOps, when you leave this course, or when when you're done with this specific course, you feel confident enough to be able to say something, right? DevOps is not a job. It is much more a mentality and a way of doing things, a process or a procedure or set of procedures, than it is just like a title, right? And so honestly, the reason why this is so important to me in the beginning is because anybody can really have a DevOps perspective at a company. Like it's true. You can. You totally can. You don't have to be in it. Now, you might not want to. Sure, you don't want to have to pay. You don't have to do work that you're not getting paid for. I guess I totally understand that. But anybody at any company can start having opinions and helping with the basically the DevOps side or making improvements at a company. And so yeah, this first part is really going to be focused on how to define that, because you also can't define DevOps the same way at any two companies. That's another thing I need to be very clear about. Like, a lot of companies have a lot of the same problems, right? But at the end of the day, they don't handle those problems the same way in any shape or form. And so that's another reason why this is written the way it is, because this is about giving you the knowledge to be able to determine the why, the what, and the who of DevOps for your company. The next thing, be empowered to create standards and rules within an organization that enable better practices around common developer problems. Now, again, a lot of you might look at this and just go like, oh, okay, cool. Well, that sounds a little bit more DevOpsy, and it is. This is a little bit more focused on like what DevOps actually does, right? This is defining it and helping create that like if you don't even have DevOps at your company, this will give you that, right? And then once you have DevOps at your company, this is that next step of like, okay, so we have DevOps. What the are we doing with it, right? And what DevOps should be doing is creating standards and rules, right, within an organization that basically enable practices, pushing code, committing code, deploying code, right? Like, it sounds like it's not technical, but it actually is, except for we're not looking at it at like, oh, well, we got to use Pulumi here. Oh, we got to use Terraform here. Oh, we got to use this here. That's not how we're looking at it. We're looking at it from like, our developers are complaining because it takes 4 hours to push a single, deployment out. How can we fix that? That is an organizational problem, right? Why is that an organizational problem? Because developers, if they need to do like a patch or something like that, that may mean that you've got a 4-hour window of patch time that you have to be able to fulfill, right? There may be other things that you're just not fully aware of. And so this is really where, once you have DevOps, right, that's where that next start comes into play, right? Of like, okay, let's look at every part of our infrastructure and our services and, our development stack and everything. And are we doing it the right way? Are we doing it in a standardized and, well-defined way that our developers can do with it? And it might even be something as simple as saying like, okay, we're going to use GitHub, and then we're going to use, GitHub Actions because it's integrated with GitHub, right? Like, it's about building the whole picture rather than just saying, okay, let's use this or that or whatever. Yo, what's up, Trash? How's it going, baby? How's it going, dude? Shout out to Trash Dev. I mean, if you guys don't know this guy at this point, I don't know what you're doing on Twitch, to be honest with you. What's up, dude? How's it going, man? I know, right? I'm excited, dude. I really am excited. I am. I was just telling chat this, Trash, which is like, the first sentence I say in this is, this workshop is designed to radically realign your perspective on DevOps, right? And so, yeah, I really want to make sure when people leave this, they leave with a completely different perspective on everything. You're flying out there to do it live, right? Yep. I will be in Minnesota next Tuesday, actually Monday, Tuesday, and then I get back Wednesday. But yeah, I will be flying out there live. We will be jumping into it, and we'll be streaming it. We'll be streaming it on Twitch. It'll be on their front page as well for free. So you guys will be able to see it live for free, but there won't be any VODs or anything like that, obviously. If you want to be able to get the actual course, then of course, you gotta go pay for it. But there is a moment where you will be able to get it for free, essentially. So yeah, like I said, if we take away what are you going to learn from this workshop? First one is how to define DevOps at a company. That's it. I'm not telling you should use Terraform over Pulumi or HCL sucks and Node's better. I'm not saying any of that stupid shit because none of that matters. In my job, none of that matters. Like, seriously, it don't matter. So anyways, the first thing I want you guys to be able to leave with this workshop is to be able to define DevOps at your company. And not only that, if it's already defined at your company, right, then I want you to be able to look at it and go like, okay, we're doing this right, or maybe we're doing this wrong, right, and things like that. So that's really what this first piece is. The second piece, right, is then to go, okay, well, now that we've defined it and we know that this is what we want, how do we create standards and rules within our organization to help it better, right? Whether, again, it may be we're going to use this, we're going to use that, and this is going to work like this, and this is going to work that. But it's a standardization of how things are done so that everyone can be on the same page and work together, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is to help define reliable problem solving through team collaboration and technical documentation. Now, you might read some of these and look at it and just be like, BG, what does half of this mean? Essentially, what I'm saying in this sentence is once you've got the ability to define DevOps at a company, right? The who, the why, what, and who of it. And once you've also got the ability of having some type of decent automation that sits on top of, right? Then you've got to be able to support it, right? So how do you support it? How do you support those new standards, right? How do you problem solve issues as they arise, right? So again, this is literally showing you guys my job, right? Step by step. We first define it, then we standardize it, right? And then we support it, right? And so that third one is very important because it's about documentation. It's about how to work with teams. It's about saying like, all right, like, how do I find this problem as quickly as I possibly can? And also, if it's a problem that is something we need to standardize, then how do we look like this is what I mean, right? If it's a problem we need to standardize, then we take a step back, right? And then we go forward again. And then we take a step back, and then we go forward again. And you could see this cycle, right? Create some standards, problem solve. Create some standards, problem solve, right? This is a lot of what, there's a lot of what DevOps is, right? And then finally, again, after we've defined it, right? After we've defined it, after we've standardized it, right? And after we've supported it, then we can talk about taking it to scale, right? And taking your first steps into an actual DevOps and infrastructure career, right? And so that's when we start talking about bringing everything together and saying like, okay, now that you know what DevOps looks like and now you know how to create these standards and impose, or not impose, but, enforce these rules and things like that within an organization to help it better. And now you also know how to support it. Now you know what it kind of feels like to be in DevOps. I'm trying to pivot from DevOps SRE to focus on writing software, and I love this idea. A lot of people find value in this. I hope so, man. I hope so. Like I said, one of the things that's very, very frustrating about the DevOps world right now, and this is like my feeling on it too, is it's broken. So many times whenever DevOps is brought up or whatever, like people just groan, you know what I mean? They're just like, ugh, and it's fair because DevOps, it's because of this. It's like literally because of this. Because so many people don't know how to define it at a company. They just hire people and then they simply go, cool, do it, do the thing. And then you're like, what? Okay. You know what I mean? You feel like a cloud, you feel like a cloud Costco worker. You know what I mean? And yeah, it sucks. That's not DevOps. Just giving people buckets and like that is not DevOps. That's just being a cloud engineer, technically, is what that's called. Do you have any book recommendation for a complete DevOps noob? Also, what are your thoughts on the DevOps handbook? So, Skoya, I'm going to be real. No, I don't. Because I'm literally making this course as a belief that this is the first thing on the internet that exists that will actually take you down the right path into going into DevOps. Yeah, like I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I'm not trying to like boost myself here or anything like that. I'm just being honest. I really don't think there's a lot of valuable information out there that will help you the way that something like this can. Because a lot of DevOps is also about what's it called? Expectations, right? And perspective and like things like that. And yeah, like if you just go into it thinking you're just, you know, all tech and you're going to be working with clouds and like maybe you might be, but like that's not what I do, right? That's a cloud engineer. My job is to think about it, to pave the path of the company so that we get to use the technologies we want to use, right? It's not about using them. It's about deciding which ones we want to use and things like that. And then in all seriousness, like a lot of my job is also just being like, hey, you know, go do this. I don't do a lot of development these days. I really don't. I really don't. I can when needed, but in all seriousness, my job, I'm the best at my job when basically I don't have to do my job. Like, or I don't have to not do my job, but when I don't have to actually like implement it, you know what I mean? Because I've done such a good job of describing it, anybody can implement it. That's genuinely the value that I bring to the company. Let me catch up with chat though. With developers and and the DevOps handbook. Yeah, so we have that thing actually. I think it's right here. Yeah, this is the DevOps roadmap. I've talked about this a bit. Like this is not, like in all seriousness, like this is not a good thing in the sense that it could just suck all of the time out of your life and you still won't know where you're going, right? And I think a lot of people can probably even see this and kind of feel that, right? Because like, look at all this crap it says you got to learn, right? The problem is, and this is what I am giving you, is I'm saying, I'm taking all this, I'm just like wrapping it up into a ball, I'm throwing it out the window, and I'm saying, yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you feel that way, but like, tell me why. That's DevOps, right? It's not about having this huge map, right? And being like, oh, you got to know all these things, right? It's about saying like, okay, well, why do we need to know this? Why do we need to know that, right? And then using them. So a good example of DevOps in comparison to this map would be like, all right, I have a problem where I want to deploy services to the cloud, right? Okay, well then, do you know what that path would look like on here? Is here, you'd start here, AWS cloud, and then you'd have to work your way all the way back. Right? But then like, what about all this crap over here? I never even talked about it, right? That's my point. Like, that's my point, is DevOps is not about just having some massive, crazy version of all this crap in your head, even though I do. I've been doing it for 10 years, right? But it's about being able to say, okay, here are the problems. Here's how we're going to standardize them. Here's the rules we're going to create around it. Here's how we're going to support it. And then here's what we're going to use to do that. We're going to use Pulumi, right? We're going to use infrastructure provisioning. We're going to use cloud providers, right? We're going to lean on it. Like, so, and again, like this is where we say like, okay, we're going to pick what we want and we're going to build that together, right? But it should never start here. Like in all seriousness, DevOps should never start here. That's what makes this bad, is you should know these things, sure, but DevOps itself should never start here. It should start basically with a pen and paper. Like in all seriousness, it should. It should start with a document, sitting down, breaking down things, and then taking a look at it, and then being like, yeah, okay, we want to use AWS. No, well, actually, let me think about that for a second. Like, think about it. If you don't ever implement it right away, you can actually think about how you do that, right? So maybe in my document, I say like, okay, well, you know, I want to deploy containerized services to Amazon, and we've got EKS, we got ECS. Like, look, I'm talking tech chat. Woo, tech, woo. Oh my God, technology. Sorry. But yeah, no, like, you know, like that's what I mean. Like, I don't think about those things until I get to it, you know? And I might even go like, you know what? Amazon, maybe GCP might help us more. Let's look at that. Okay, let's compare those two, right? You okay though? No, because honestly, I hate this. I hate this so much. Like, it's not that I hate that they did this, because I think this is a really great example of a lot of the things that you deal with. I just heard a beep somewhere and I don't know where that came from. And I do think that it's a very good example of like the technologies you work with, but without this, Like seriously, without this, without knowing how to apply it, you're just going to be stumbling. Like literally, you're just going to be stumbling. You're going to be guessing why you're plugging a web server, behind a forward proxy, and like unless you need these things and you have a reason for it, there's no need for you to even learn about these things in some regard, and so that's why I really think this is going to be a really strong course, because that's where we're starting. We're starting with theory. We're starting with why you should use the technologies you want to use, right? Things like that. So yeah, that's my perspective on like the DevOps roadmap and stuff, at least. With developers in mind, you don't want to implement standards like an old school infra team. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to be working directly with your developers and talking with them and, figuring out what they want and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Is DevOps for people who failed to be front-end developers? What? No, as a matter of fact, I could literally what's funny, Chad, is there's a lot of front-end developers on Twitch, but what a lot of people don't realize is I could literally outcode most of them, easily. In all seriousness, I was in front-end for 3 years, and, I did it for quite a while. I didn't leave front-end because I hated front-end. I left it because I hate the business of front-end. I got tired of people did I ever lose passion about components and high order components and state and how to manage routing, as well as how to deploy or if I ever fallen out of love of how to do good user experience, as well as how that works really well with the back end and making sure that the user never feels like they're against the API, but they're still moving forward with the I'm sorry, I just know that that's just what I'm yes, I totally. So and you'll find a lot of people who were in DevOps probably had similar paths. But I got out of it because I hated the business side of it. Hey, I want a button. Okay. Do you want anything else? No. I just want a button. Make it go here and then track it. Thank you. Thank you, Code Monkey. That's what I hated about front end. Seriously, that's what I hated about front end was it's unfortunately so driven by marketing that I just checked out. I was just not interested. So not technically, but I mean, if you want to feel that way, I guess you can. Trask, thank you for the follow. Why would you assume, sorry. Will it help me, in a way I can separate microservice deployment instead of doing a full deployment every time? We'll talk about it. I will say I'm blaming, you will be able to leave this with you'll be able to leave this with at least a set of tools that will help you figure out how to do that, right? And it's not necessarily I'm going to show you the tools directly, but I'm going to show you how to gain the confidence so that you can learn how to deploy microservices and split your monorepo and all that stuff yourself, right? I'm gonna show you from DevOps how I would tackle that, essentially. You know what I mean? I'm at PlayStation right now. It's disaster. Too many DevOps. Yeah, I would imagine a company like that probably has a lot of, ops related stuff. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's crazy. I can't even imagine what it's like to support the PlayStation Network. That. Yeah, that'd be interesting. We need to buy 4 more DevOps to make this run. I heard at the golf conference I was at this weekend, non-technical CEO. Oh, God. Yeah, you leave that company as quickly as possible. Brendan Gregg. Oh, dude, I haven't heard Brendan Gregg's name in a while. I love Brendan Gregg. He's a really smart guy. Brendan Gregg, Performance Engineering for the Cloud is a good one. The book? Yeah. Brendan Gregg is one of my, I don't know, I don't want to say heroes per se, because we're almost the same age, I would say, but he's definitely somebody I, aspire from to see what kind of stuff he does, because that dude is insane. Yeah, he's a code hero. There you go. He's definitely a code hero for sure. Yeah, Brendan is super fucking smart. I've met him once. I met him at DockerCon a while ago. He's very nice. I know he left Netflix and now he's at Intel, which I mean, good for him. Get that Intel money, baby. Why would you choose backend dev versus DevOps SRE? Are you asking me that, or are you asking somebody in chat that? Is that a live course, or are you still building it? It's going to be, so this course will be live the day we record it. So it'll be live on our channel. It'll be live on their website as well. Oh, thank you, Whisper. That book is a dusty tome, dude. It really is. It's a good book. It's a really good book. That page you add up. Yeah. That will, here. It's in the, don't forget, it's in the Discord, guys. But here, I'll share the link again. Actually, I probably need to just create a, what's it called for it? Command. Yeah, fem command, exactly, yeah. Let me do that now, actually. Text. DevOps for developers course. There we go. There we go. That makes that easier. All right, let me catch up with chat here. I have a particular set of skills. I love that. Let me catch up. I could call myself full stack and DevOps and architect and all those. I often hate how people think there's a hierarchy. I do front end now. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real. On my resume, I'm just a software engineer. Even where I work now, I technically don't go by, my actual title is not, they asked me, they were like, what do you want, what do you want your title to actually be? And I said, just keep it a senior software engineer. And they were like, why? And I was like, because if I ever don't want to be a DevOps engineer, I don't want to be stuck in one position. And I've done that my whole life, or my whole career. I do recommend that, not to, just to keep the title software engineer. I think that gives you a lot of flexibility. You know what I mean? Give me 1 second, chat. I gotta check my work Slack really quick. I gotta help with something at work. Sorry, hold on. Weird. Yeah, I gotta make an S3 bucket, guys. Sorry, hang on. Exactly. Yeah, you got it. Hello, my name is Tasty T. I am a code monkey with 10 years of experience. Code Monkey, da na 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 na. Do you guys know that song, by the way? Do you actually know the song Code Monkey? Here, I'll play it for you. If you don't know the song Code Monkey, I'm going to welcome you to a really good song. Get up, get coffee. Code Monkey, go to job. Oh, hold on. Code Monkey. Code Monkey, get up, get coffee. I'm gonna get doxxed for this. I know for a fact I'm gonna get doxxed for this. So I'm just gonna kind of keep talking while it's playing. So in the off chance that we do try and get doxxed, it's not gonna happen. But this is the song that I felt like I was living my life in when I was working in front end. This is what front end feels like, chat, right here. Proud. All right, that's it. If you want to hear more of it, you guys can check it out. But yeah, it's a good song. It's a good song. I think the music started again, right? Code Monkey is a great song. I just don't want to get doxxed. So that alone is enough for me to have probably gotten a strike. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Why don't I have music? Hang on. Yeah, I didn't realize that. What's up, Satant, by the way? How's it going? Okay, let's jump into this. All right, so okay. All right, so here's what we need to do, chat. Actually, hold on. Perfect. Okay, so where did we leave off last stream, chat? Well, we left off last stream where we were talking about moving the recording pipeline to Amazon, right? We have said that we have decided to start shutting down services locally, right? And we are going to start running as much as we can basically in the cloud. Last stream, we talked about a bunch of different options. We really just sat down and we thought experimented. We did what I do as in my job as a DevOps engineer, which is we thought. We did a lot of thinking. And what we realized, or what we came to, was essentially this right here, right? And this is what we're going to actually automate, at least, or we're going to work on automating and finish automating today, where what we want, right? And we've already got some of this. For example, we've already got our VPC, right? We've already got our EKS, EKS cluster, right? We've even already got our instances with EKS running on top of them, right? But what we want to do is we really want to sit down and we want to go through the rest of this and figuring out like how exactly is all of this going to work, right? Now, another thing too is we might actually have to do some code changing. Because right now, all of this is meant to work with like file systems and stuff like that, right? However, in the actual new version, we've decided, at least to start, we want to use buckets and, copy, or not copy, but like download, files directly from the buckets and all that kind of stuff. So there's a chance where we're going to actually have to do some code rewrite too, because of the plain and simple fact that we're using buckets now as data sources instead of the actual, file system itself. Hang on one second, chat. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking on all my stuff before I get too busy here. All right. Cool. Okay. Maybe we even start with that first, actually. Maybe we start by looking at the source code first. Is the direction of the outbound arrow correct? Technically, yes. Right? Because this is download. Right? It's actually download. It's not really outbound. It's outbound in the sense that it's outbound traffic from the S3 bucket to this. But it's actually download from the stream machine to the bucket. So it's whatever. Whatever you want to call it, I guess. What's up, Hayden? How's it going, bud? All right, so let's do this. We're going to actually go to our recording pipeline repositories, and I want to start taking a look at some of these. A VPC is $50. No, that's not. A VPC is not $50. My VPC is $50. But not VPCs in general are not $50. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to look at the publisher. Right? If you don't remember how the recording pipeline works, chat, I'll go ahead and show it to you. All right. Jeez. So this is the recording pipeline, chat, as it exists right now. And there's a solid chance that some of this might even change, right? I'm gonna move this over here so I can see you guys. Cool. Okay. So what do we got? Well, right now, what we have is we have a Redis pub sub, right? Now this Redis pub sub is all for just that pub sub, right? So what we do is we send events through Redis pub sub as things happen. So for example, file created, the publisher sends the file created event, right? And then when file created events happen, the subscriber knows how to trigger specific queued workloads and stuff like that, right? And so what happens is, because this is event driven, the publisher triggers the file created, right? But then once the file created is triggered to convert, right, that conversion process happens on a worker, and then it goes back to the pub sub. Once it's done, it then says file converted, and file converted goes back to the subscriber and then triggers the archive step, right? And so this is how our recording pipeline works. Is it basically uses events to propagate and, you know, run changes through our systems. So there's a couple things that we're going to want to change. For starters, this production share is actually now a bucket, right? So it's actually a bucket. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to move this to here. Oops. And we're going to move that to there. And then this is going to be our recording pipeline footage, right? This is the footage in the recording pipeline that we need to process. So the publisher is now actually going to go out to AWS, right? Check the bucket, and then if it has it, it's going to publish those files, or at least, you know, continue with the process. But this first one is, we really do need to make sure that the recording pipeline footage is where it needs to be. Let's do another thing as well. Let's get rid of this, and let's look at our buckets for a second. The reason why I want to look at our buckets is because we have two of them right now. We have recording pipeline footage, and we have recording pipeline archive, right? In recording pipeline footage is all of the stuff we want to process, but everything after it's processed goes into the archive. Because it's all one bucket at the end of the day, we really could make it so that this is no longer needed, and we just do this. Who can tell me why this would be beneficial? Who can tell me why this would be beneficial to use one bucket instead of two? Does anyone know why? It's a DevOps question. Sorry. Okay. Lifecycle management? No. You could do lifecycle management with both buckets. Separate buckets, you could shove multiple index paths in a bucket as well. So the TLDR is throughput, actually. We have a big concern of data, right? These are 20 gig files individually, normally, like 10 to 20 gig individual files, right? And we have a big concern of, like, okay, if we're going to move traffic from, like, you know, move data from like one thing to another, are we going to get charged for that, right? Also, time. If it's in two different buckets, we just have to wait for it to move from one bucket to another. Now, granted, there's a solid chance that because, you know, it is Amazon, you know, we'll probably transfer it like 150, 200 megabits per second. Like, we'll probably get really good transfer. Why are you looking at my chart, person? All right. I must have accidentally opened this. God damn it, dude. Goodbye. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that. That's one thing I'm not cool about. Yeah, I don't know why you actually did that. I almost banned you. I got you. Don't do it again. Okay? Just don't do it again. I'm going to have to... I appreciate you sharing. Like, I appreciate you showing it. I'm not mad at you. Yeah, just don't do that again. Flowchart and shooters. I mean, it was on comment. It's not that big of a deal. But I guess... I don't know how it got enabled publicly. That's what kind of scares me. It's like, I don't know how that got publicly enabled. That was weird. Anyways, did somebody really type in that whole URL? Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm going to be fair with you. The internet is full of fucking weird people. I'm not saying that that's anybody in this chat or even the person who just did that. That was harmless. That wasn't that big of a deal. The only thing that worried me about that truly was I just didn't know, like, I don't really know if there's like private stuff in here. That's what I was worried about. It's not that you guys see this. Obviously, I'm fucking showing it to you. But it's like the other pages, right? Like, I don't know if I put anything in any of these other pages, which is why I was like, oh God. Yeah, iPhone. Yeah, there's tons of different ways you could do it. Yeah. But like my point is like people are weird. And again, that wasn't that big of a deal. Like it's just this thing, but it does make me remember that I gotta freaking look out for some of you guys. So yeah, so the TLDR, before I got interrupted by somebody who decided to join my Jesus. Oh, jeez Louise. All right. Anyways, before I got interrupted by somebody wanting to jump in on my it does seem to indicate that it's private though. Yeah, no, that's why I was confused. Is like I feel like I gotta go again. It's actually really good that they did that because they were kind enough to like not just destroy all of my documents. Thank you, whoever exploited me. Thank you for not exploiting me to that point at least. I sincerely appreciate that. I don't think I'm weird. I even left candy on your pillow when I visited your house. You were sleeping. I didn't want to wake you. No, like again, like honestly, I would rather have found out that way. Like listen, dude, I used to be a hacker. Like I'm not into that shit as much anymore. But like the best thing you can do is know that you have an exploit. It like seriously, it sucks. You know what I mean? No, MDS, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I know it was you. That's why I responded. Yeah, no, you're fine. Like I said, I do appreciate you actually exemplifying it. I trust you guys. I really do. It's just hard to know if it's somebody in our chat who's nice or somebody in our chat who's mean. But you said something, so I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I feel like I jumped you. I was not trying to do that at all. You're amazing. Seriously. You helped us find an exploit, and that's really cool. But yeah, like I said, like, you know, knowing is half of the battle. So now that I know that, I'm going to have to like go through all of that. You did a good thing, MDS and Bluetooth. You did a good thing. I just got, I'm going to be real. My butt cheeks clenched a little bit on that one. Okay. I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that at all. I was like, good God. MDS equals white hat. Yes, I'm very thankful that MDS is a white hat. Seriously. I'm very thankful. I used to be a gray hat. Well, I still technically am, I guess, but I don't really act on my gray hatness anymore. But yeah, I used to be a gray hat. So I know where those lines lie. I definitely know where they lie. So yeah, so here's my point is like, if we do the recording pipeline archive, right, then we really do find ourselves in a scenario where like we can keep everything in one place. And like, honestly, what might just make sense, and I think we're already kind of doing this, is, yeah, no, and again, MDS, thank you for being cool. Seriously, I don't really care too much as long as I don't actually, you know, get exploited. And again, that was not a bad thing. How do I get into this account? All right, well, anyways, I don't even have to write it, or I don't even have to, you know, show you. I can just basically, sorry, I was itching my beard, by the way. It's not like I was like eating my boogers or something. So here's what I'm thinking is we're going to want to set up different paths. So like if we do this, we keep everything in one bucket, right? We pull from here, or we grab from here. There we go. Something like this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And so this is going to be going to /MP4. So if we do like /MP4 or something like this, path /MP4, right? And then we do like path /MP or MKV. I'm sorry, no, not MP4. This is supposed to be MKV, right? And then MP4. This could make it so that they stay in the same bucket. And basically we just use these path prefixes where we say anything in the recording pipeline archive that is under path MKV, right, will be read by the publisher, and any files that are in there will then get triggered as file created, right, which will then tell the subscriber to start converting these files, right, which will then move down to the converter. The conversion will start processing, right, and then that convert will just drop it directly into the MP4 path. I almost think there's no need for archive now. Right? Because if it's all in one bucket, if it gets uploaded, right, it'll be uploaded here. We'll read that, right? The publisher will read every file in the MKV path, right? So we'll just do something like this, right? MKV, right? And then it'll get sent through. Once the convert is done, like we're converting something. So we're not just like converting something and actually, that's a good point. So if we convert it, we're just going to get a file somewhere. Don't worry about these. These are going to get changed. Don't even, this is old. So these are going to get changed. The Redis pub sub and RabbitMQ, more than likely this will be, you know, Elasticache. And this will be SQS, right? I do think I want to lean on Elasticache and SQS going forward. So don't pay attention to these. Like, yeah, don't pay attention to those at all. Just know that this is going to be pub sub and this is going to be queues. That's really all you need to worry about. Okay, so yeah, I definitely think this is going to change a bit because we're using a bucket now. Like in a better, it just means that we're not going to, well, I don't know, kind of. We might need to use EFS here. Are you using Elemental Media Convert to convert the content? Yeah, dude, how did you know? How did you know that I was going to use Elemental Media Convert, a proprietary piece of software to make my life easier? How did you know that, Zeiss? I don't know what the you're talking about. What is Elemental Media Convert? What you see is what you get, chat. No, we use ffmpeg. That's it. Whoa. That went up higher than I expected it to. You clearly haven't worked in the industry then. I like how you're telling me that I haven't worked in the industry because I know exactly what you do. I love that you're telling me how I clearly haven't worked in the industry when I literally know what you do, Zizep. Funny. You're real funny, bro. That's the AWS video services. Excuse me. I actually do know that. I was just giving you a hard time. But we don't need imagine knowing 300 AWS products off the top of your head. That's also true. No, I'm not going to use Media Convert. Why am I not going to use Media Convert? Because it looks ridiculously expensive. Okay, let's see what we got here. On-demand pricing, full suite OTT. Might be super overkill for your tooling. I mean, I'll look at it really. You guys know me. I'll look at something really quickly. I just don't think we need it. Like, how would I do an MKV to like... On-demand is ideal for customers who bad apps, short-term, unpredictable workloads require fast turnaround. To on-demand. The basic on-demand supports with AVC codec and single-pass encoding of VPA 8 and VPA 9 with speed-optimized multi-pass encoding with capabilities like clipping, stitching, static overlays, among others. Dude, it's literally our fucking recording pipeline. Chat, this is literally what we're building. I'm not even kidding. I almost guarantee you they're probably using like ffmpeg or something like that under the hood. This is exactly what we're building. So no, I'm not going to use this because I'm building it for free. No, this is literally what we're building. Yeah, we use ffmpeg. So the workers use ffmpeg under the hood, which uses the exact same like conversions and stuff like that, right? Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as what I'm building. That's funny. Sorry about that. I'm back. There's always a premium to have someone else do the work versus do it yourself. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're gonna like, this is, I'm gonna be fair with you guys. This is something we'll probably eventually sell as a product ourselves. I gotta find something for work really quickly, chat. Here, I'll just do it right here. One of my coworkers is running into an issue, and he needs help. So I'm trying to help him really quickly. Basically, we're trying to figure out the age of an old Docker image that's really out of date. Yes. So I need to find Nginx in, let's go to organization. Does anyone have the new code search, by the way? Does anyone have the new code search on GitHub? Because it's pretty dope. Hippo Analytics Inc. Nginx. Nginx? Oh, shiesties. How do I think I do like org. Yeah, there we go. Nginx. Docker file. 14141414. Everything is using 14. Sorry about that. Okay. Why does BG have a Mac with a touch bar? Because my company is cheap and they won't get me a new laptop. We've already gone through this. We've already gone through this whole thing, chat. All right. My company's cheap. I'm just kidding. They're not cheap. My views are only my own. They are not based off of Hippo Analytics Inc. So please do not take anything I say seriously because they are my own views and I don't feel like getting sued. Sorry. Okay. Back to the drawing board, chat. So we've got our path. MKV. So, okay. So it's farts. The workers are probably going to need EFS. I'm probably going to need EFS. Damn it. Yeah, we're probably going to need EFS. Can anyone tell me why we're going to need EFS? Anybody? Bueller? Bueller? Does anyone know what EFS is, by the way? Somebody's at my door. Hang on. Yeah, you ever just feel like there's just never enough time in the day to do whatever we want? I'm picturing my Mac. Want a picture of my 16 MacBook Pro Max with 32 gigs of RAM? No, you know what I'd rather have? I'd rather have a picture of a 16 MacBook Pro with M2 Max because yours is going to get replaced soon, sucker. Ha, how do you like me now? You want to talk shit? Don't do that. I'll get you. It's going to feel great when your laptop is outdated within 6 months. Too mean? Too mean? Too mean? Was that too mean? Yeah, EFS is the elastic file system of AWS. Now, you might be like, hey, BG, why? Does anyone know why we have to use an EFS here? Does anyone know why we might actually have to use EFS here? Why? Okay, think about this, right? So the publisher, right, is going to read the path in the bucket, right? Anything that needs to be converted will be pulled onto the worker where the worker exists, and it will convert that, right? Once it converts it, that's a file. Like, we can't convert directly back to the bucket, right? So what we have to do is we have to create a gap or a bridge between these processes, the worker and the archive, right? So how do we do that? Well, we put an EFS volume between each one of the nodes, right? Exactly. This is the converting place. This is basically our EFS workspace. Now what's going to happen is the worker is going to offload the converted file, right, onto the EFS mount. And then the next one to pick it up will grab it again. Exactly. Sorry. Couldn't resist. Oh, I got to do a told you so moment. I got to have a told you so moment. I just got to have a told you so moment at work. So we have a problem right now with okay, so, and you guys might even know this as well. So we use Nginx as our like egress. And don't get me wrong, this guy's way smarter than me. So the fact that I got to pull this on him is like awesome. I will fully admit that my coworker Gabe is like brilliant beyond means compared to me. But I got him here. We were talking about an issue. And the TLDR is like, here, I'll show you. It looks a little bit like this. How do let me just create a new page. So it looks a little bit like this. So basically what we're debugging right now is we have, hold on. We have this right here. Now this is our service container, right? And this is like a hippo thing. So this will help you understand a little bit more of how we do stuff. So we have this service container, right? Oh, you can't see it. What the fuck? What's going on, Avermedia? Hang on a second. The fuck? There we go. Okay. Okay, so here's basically the scenario, right? We have a service container, right? And this service container is Nginx, basically. That's the easiest way to put it. This is Nginx, right? And what was happening, yo, have a good night, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, man. Get some rest. Thank you for being here as always. One of these days, I'll say your name before you leave, okay? Have a good night, bud. Okay, yeah, so this is our service container, and we'll just consider this to be Nginx, right? Well, in this configuration, this is actually set up so that it can do upstreaming to other services, right? That also may be like Node.js or something like that, right? Right? And so what happened was this was failing, right? Upstream. This was failing because the upstream wasn't working properly, right? Now, when I looked at it, I saw that the upstream was like HTTPS, example.com, basically. That's not the actual URL, but I'm just saying the point here is that this upstream in the Nginx configuration has this HTTPS. And I told him, I was like, hey, I think it's supposed to be like this. Like, I don't think you can actually do, or you might not be able to always put the protocol before the domain, right? And then if you want a protocol, you'd have to do this, right? Not the opposite, which is this, right? And so he was like, yeah, I don't know. And you know what he did? He hit Google and he found a document that said that this should work, right? And so he hit me with that document and was like, hey, I mean, I see what you're saying, but like this says it works. And so I was like, all right, man, like, I don't know. All I know is it worked in other places. So here, I could send you to some of those other places. So he starts looking around. We find another one of those places. And sure enough, in the task definition or in the configuration, it looks like that. And I just go, LOL, told you. I was like, and then I just said, ha ha ha, sorry, couldn't resist. And he goes, skill issue. So I appreciated that. But yeah, sometimes it's something as simple as that. Sometimes it's something as simple as that. Usually I try to avoid EFS because the credit-based system. So the challenge here is like, we need an actual file system to work with. That's really why, like, again, I don't try and use things that I don't need to use, right? In this case, think about it, chat. How else would I make it so that one worker could access data from another worker? If you can tell me a way I could do it easily, at least, I have no desire of like provisioning a bunch of crap, so just be aware of that. But like seriously, if you can tell me of a way, you know, as simple as just creating an EFS mount and then mounting that to each one of the workers, right? If you can tell me a way of doing that, or not even that, having an EFS mount that just like is directly mounted to the Kubernetes node itself, right? Or the Kubernetes pod itself, which is really what's going to happen. This is going to be an NFS mount within a Kubernetes pod. This isn't going to be mounted to the hosts. This is actually going to get mounted over NFS onto the pod itself, right? Because we don't need to, I mean, we could, if we wanted to, we could make it so that, like, you know, the workers read the file system on the host, but like Kubernetes knows how to mount NFS, you know what I mean? Knows how to mount NFS mounts. So there's no reason why we couldn't just have our workers mount these, you know, mount the NFS mount and then drop the file in. What kind of data? These are video recordings that are being converted. Right? These are video recordings that are being converted that for a time period have to go from MKV to MP4, right? But we have to have that file live somewhere while we, or we just say, screw the pipeline and we do everything in one process. And I really don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Because then we can't scale the pipeline the way that we want to. So the idea here is basically we will have the pod in Kubernetes mount the EFS, you know, join or mount the EFS workspace and then do that. Just join, but could you send back to S3 in a different bucket or different structure? So the problem that I'm dealing with here, chat, is there's no way to stream the converted file back to the bucket. That's the best way of putting it. Because we use like FFmpeg, like, I mean, okay, I shouldn't say there's no way to do it because of course there's ways to do it. Two things. One, it would require me to consume a goddamn ridiculous amount of memory. Two, I would have to change the converter in a way that I can actually get those bytes in the language. Right now, the worker uses ffmpeg as a binary, right? In most scenarios, that's what you're going to use. You're going to use some type of like, you know, very well designed or very well made, you know, encoder that's just going to dump MP4 files and stuff for you. So it's not like downloading a file that I can just stream right back up to another location, right? It's not like that. This is, I need a way of, you know, so here's the problem. I'm not going to be using CLI, right? So that's another part of it is like, yeah, you're not wrong, but I'm going to be doing all this in code. Like I'm using an ffmpeg wrapper with Node.js. Foo. So you're not on a bad path. And like I said, I know it's possible. I just don't know if it's going to be feasible for us as easily. You know what I mean? Because yeah, we're using Node. So like I think here, let's do this. GA recording. If we go to the recording pipeline code, right? Where's the converter? Yeah, convert. The code itself is like literally like 2 files. Yeah. Here's the index. All the Q stuff. and then here's our consumer, and then here's the handler right here. Yeah, so here's the handler. It's literally just this. Now, I might be able to pipe, if that's the case, actually here. What library is this? Fluent. Actually, you might be able to do this with Fluent. Let's take a look. Fluent ffmpeg Node.js. Sorry, guys. Oh. Yeah. Oh, well, no, that's a read stream. I mean, if you could do a read stream, you might be able to do a output stream too. Right? That's what we need. We need to see if this can do an output stream. Because this is just read streams, that's easy, right? It looks like you can only stream into it. Oh, no. Here we go. Create write stream output. Okay, no. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's the problem, though. I'd have to figure out. So it's possible. I mean, bottom line, it's possible. It's possible with what I currently have. If that's the case, then that would mean... Well, there's still a problem, chat, which is that would mean that the worker has to deal with... So, okay, here's another problem, chat. Here's another problem. I'm not trying to have jobs do multiple things. The worker for converting just converts. That's it. It takes a file, it converts it, bim, bam, boom, done, right? That's scalable, right? So if we want to keep these like separation of concerns the way that they need to be, right? Very strict, then we still want to have our convert drop something somewhere so that the archive can handle it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think no matter what, we're making a choice here. Now that I realize it, we're making a choice here to make these separate so that we can have a bunch of conversions happening at the same time and a bunch of archives happening at the same time as well. Does that make sense? So I think we need to agree before we move forward that that's going to be a constant, right? Like that's going to be something we're going to do, right? If we do that, then we do need some type of middle area. The cool thing about this though is this is only going to be used only for work, right? So that's kind of the nice thing about this is really only going to be used for, the stuff that's being actually processed. What should happen is once the archiver puts it back into the recording pipeline archive bucket, it should delete it off of EFS, right? It should delete it off of EFS. And so the idea is EFS should basically be empty until we have to encode something, right? And then it won't be for a short period of time. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense to me. Hold on one second, chat. Did my chat die? Or are you guys just being quiet? Which is totally fine if you're being quiet. I just didn't know if my chat died. Hold on. Refreshing. What's wrong with the solution you have on screen with EFS? Nothing. It just might be expensive. That's all. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally it. Guys, I'm like, you guys want to see the coffee pour? Here, this could be fun. Where's a good place to put this where I'm not going to, like, also burn the shit out of myself? This is a bad idea. Here you go, chat. This is a bad idea. We're just quiet. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Here, I'm going to put it here. I have to admit I'm lost. What are you lost on, USMC chick? Help me understand. If you guys are lost on what I'm doing, help me understand what you're lost on. Speak up. and I will teach you. I am here to teach you and pour coffee. If you end up implementing EFS solution, take into accountability zones if you can run in different AZs. Are you saying to take account to it in a positive way or a negative way? Like, are you saying like take a look at it because AZs, when you're using traffic across multiple AZs, then you get charged for that? Or are you just saying it's good to have high availability? Crap, I spilled hot water. Because that is also something I'm super worried about, is just the bandwidth charges we might get because of all this crap. Okay. Yeah, I think for now, if we keep it like this, then we can also keep a lot of the existing code and we just don't have to program as much. I'm new. What am I doing? So right now, by the way, thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. I am working on a product, I guess I should say, that we have built a while ago called our recording pipeline. The idea is that anytime we stream, right, we have a recording of that, a VOD, that we want to upload to YouTube. And if you guys don't know, we have our 2 YouTubes, the main one, as well as our VODs. The main one is really where all of our like edited videos and stuff like that go, but the second one is our VODs. And if you look at the second one, we actually have like a decent amount of like structuring, right? Where you get to see like infrastructure automation, Nix and NixOS, technical discussions, backend development, open source development, right? Like all this kind of stuff. But we have to like, we have to encode these things and like, get them out the door basically. And so what we've done is we've built this pipeline, as we call it, that is a series of microservices that handle specific tasks for us, right? And so right now we're updating that pipeline because we're moving it to the cloud. Now, before we moved it to the cloud, we just ran everything internally and we had like volume mounts and, like basically everything was where it was needed. And this was all a lot easier. But because we're moving to the cloud now, we have to consider what we do have in the cloud, what we don't have in the cloud, what we're going to be using in the cloud, and what we're not going to be using in the cloud, right? And so one of the big things that we're changing is the recording pipeline used to rely on like a network file storage in on-prem. Well, it's not going to rely on that anymore. Now it's going to rely on this bucket right here. This bucket right here, right? And sorry, I'm trying to like get everything. Oh, here, there you go. It's going to rely on this bucket right here, right? And so because we're already relying on this bucket, the publisher might need to change a bit, right? And so we're taking a look and saying, okay, well, if our source is now a bucket, how does the publisher need to talk to that bucket so that it can see the files in it under the specific path and then go out to PubSub to then create, our convert and archive jobs, right? And so what happens is the publisher, once it sees these videos, goes out to PubSub and it says, hey, I've got a file created, or I've got a series of files created, right? If there's 5 of them, then PubSub gets 5 of those events, and it then echoes a file created event to the subscriber. The subscriber subscribes to PubSub just like the publisher publishes to PubSub. So this can be Redis, this can be Elasticache, it can be whatever you want, right? As long as it's PubSub, that's all that matters. And so in this scenario, once we publish the file created to the PubSub, right, the subscriber picks up those events and starts queuing workloads, right? Now, this much doesn't probably really need to change much outside of, again, we might use, some type of Amazon service like Elasticache or, maybe even their own PubSub or something like that. And the same thing with queues. We'll probably lean on like SQS and stuff like that. But the publisher, the subscriber, the worker, and the worker, basically the 2 workers, are all going to stay the same, right? The publisher is just a simple node process that will check the bucket for new files. There's new files in that bucket, it will send out the file created. But once we get to the convert stage, right, we need to figure out what's different. In our old scenario, the convert stage existed on our own servers where it could just re-access the network file storage that it grabbed the original file from. And that's exactly how it worked. But we're not doing that anymore, are we? Now we're using a bucket, right? And so because we're using a bucket, we don't have at the moment that centralized place to putting that file so that we can then archive it later. And that's the problem that we're running into right now. Basically, because it's in the cloud and we don't have that, or at least we didn't until we added EFS, there was no way for the worker to create the encoded file and then the other archiver pick it up to put it back into the bucket, right? We didn't have a middle space where that could exist and those things could be put to, be handed off between jobs. And so what we've said is, okay, well, we know that we have a bucket change. We're going to use a bucket now. Right? We also know that, we're probably going to change pub sub, but it's still going to work the same. However, what's not going to work the same is that the worker will need to mount a shared access point, a shared file system, right? NFS or EFS in this case, to then write the data that it compiles, or write the data that it encodes to that. And again, this is like an intermediate space. This should always be empty when nothing is being processed. So that's why I don't mind using EFS here, is because honestly, we're not going to get charged for anything, because it's only going to get charged for the amount of time, we spend storing data on it. And it's only going to exist for the amount of time that the encoding happens between the conversion and the archive, right? So for example, if the worker converts it, right, and it sits on here for, 30 seconds, 90 seconds for whatever the worker, then when it goes over to the archive, it's only going to last that 90 seconds plus whatever time it takes to upload. After the upload is done and it's put back in the bucket, the EFS workspace gets cleared and we're basically not paying for anything anymore. So this is why I don't mind this approach, because it keeps us with what we're used to, this little like scratch space, right? But it also makes it so that we're not going to be keeping things there forever, right? This isn't something that we're going to use forever. It's only just going to be used for while we're doing our encodings and stuff. And then we put it in the bucket when we're done with it. Give me 1 second, chat. Let me go pour my coffee. I've never heard of ffmpeg before. It looks like this could be a good CLI replacement for Handbrake. Is that accurate? Yes. Yeah, if you're talking about the thing that like does DVD encoding or whatever, yeah, it's the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but it can do that. God, I haven't thought about Handbrake in forever. Good call out. Hey, chat, you guys want to see? Yo, Cypher, what's up, buddy? How's it going, man? You guys want to see what I recently got as a gift from a company? Look at this. Oh, here, let me close it so I don't fucking burn myself. Oh, it's on both sides. Never mind. Oh, here, I'll do it down here. Look at that. Look at that. That was nice of them. Look at this mug, dude. Look at this mug Circle CI gave me. The full-on, like... Yeah, it's got cork bottom and everything. I love it when tech companies don't care about their money and just spend it on stupid shit like that. Yo, Juice, what's up? Hey, Juice, how's it going? How are you? Shout out to Juice. It's advertising. Yeah, you're not wrong. And I'm like literally advertising for them right now, so I guess it worked. Oh, I needed coffee. That's my coffee. That's my coffee look, by the way, chat. That's what BG looks like when he gets his first sip of coffee in the morning. I suddenly have the urge to use Circle CI products. I mean, I just checked Circle CI legit. Yo, okay, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to take a screenshot of this because in all seriousness, we are talking about doing a lot more sponsored streams next year. And I'm going to literally use that as proof that people want to see Circle CI stuff. Thank you. Oh gosh, now I want coffee. Oh, Juice, you got to get some coffee, girl. Seriously, I just now am getting coffee at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, dude. Like, I don't even know. Your worker for this service can be with a GPU. It can, but ffmpeg is designed to work with the CPU as well. So technically, we're just using CPU right now. But it can, yeah. ffmpeg is able to use hardware acceleration. I don't drink coffee. I drink Mountain Dew Zero. Yeah, because that's better for you. beans that grow in the ground are chemically made crack. I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew, so I'm allowed to say this, all right? I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew, like a lot. It was my coffee for a while. At least it's sugar-free. That's true. If it's sugar-free, that's good. I thought you worked at Hippo or something. I do work at Hippo. I do work at Hippo. I just have a lot of companies that are nice to me. That's all. You know? That's all. Okay, so how do we feel about what we've got? So there's definitely going to be some changes we're going to need. Dang it, I just lost my chart. Okay, so the first one is that, here, I need to make a list. Notion. Hang on. Boom. It's like we already had a document on this. Okay, so required changes, right? So we need to talk about some required changes, and we're gonna go through them. With each service. So, for example, we're gonna talk about the publisher. Yeah, honestly, USMC chick Notion is like my life. Notion and Linear, those two things are amazing. So the publisher needs to use AWS SDK to look up files in recording pipeline archive bucket, right? It's called Notion. Right? So we need, the publisher needs to use the AWS CDK to look up files in the recording public. It also needs to return fully qualified S3 paths for conversion, or so it just needs to do that. It just basically needs to return fully qualified paths for conversion, right? So the first thing is like, we need to add the AWS SDK to this, because right now it's not even like, look chat, look at this recording. If we go to the recording pipeline and then we click on publisher, right? And then we go to source. Actually, here, we'll just go to the package.json. There's no AWS in this at all. See, no AWS anywhere. So we need to add the AWS. Honestly, okay. All right, I'm doing a poll right now. If you don't participate in this poll, it's on you, and you missed out on some pretty good content. You ready for this? Should we rewrite in Go? Yes. No. All right, chat. I'm giving you the opportunity right now. You have 2 minutes to tell me if you want me to rewrite all of our services in Go, because I'm not against doing it because they're very small. But you got to vote. You have to vote. If you don't vote, it's not happening. You're going to get stuck with Node, okay? So you got to vote. You got to show me that you actually want to see me do it. Because here's the thing. I do these votes, and I don't think you realize how much I actually depend on your response. If you don't respond, if you're not excited about it, why should I care? Like, seriously. So if you think we should take our publisher, subscriber, worker for convert, and worker for archive, and churn all of these into Go services over the next couple streams or whatever, we can do that. We can do that. But I need you to vote. Because if you ain't hyped, I'm not doing it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Been rewriting some of mine and Go? Nice. I always vote lazy. Nice. Okay. All right, good. Someone's smart telling me I don't know the answer. You're going to want to hit. You're going to want to do yes. I'm going to give you a hint, chat. If you click yes, the content will be much more fun. Because Node.js kind of sucks. I'm not rewriting in Python. You can calm down on that one. I'm not doing it in Python. I could rewrite this in 5 minutes in Python. Crap, how do I change I agree Node bad? Oh no, did you already put in your poll? Why does Node suck? It doesn't suck. Like, honestly, it's, I mean, it does, but like, if you don't know why it sucks, then it doesn't suck. I guess that's about, yes. All right. We will rewrite them all and go. Sorry, I didn't mean to start that. Oh, Grid Warrior, you're fine. You're fine. This is the kind of stuff I love talking to you guys about. So why does Node.js suck? It's not really about Node as much as it is about JavaScript, right? There's so much information out there on the internet right now why JavaScript sucks. I'm not going to really go into super big detail. The best thing I can tell you as a senior software engineer who's been doing this for a very long time and doesn't want to deal with bullshit anymore, Node.js just has a lot of bullshit with it. It really does. It's not a type-safe language, so you can literally shoot yourself in the foot whenever you want, or whenever you even don't mean to. So that's a big one. That's a really big one, is because because JavaScript is just intrinsically like the Wild West of programming, you can do almost anything with it, which is a very powerful tool. And a lot of you guys, I honestly don't think realize why languages are made, right? Like why, like I think you guys are just used to seeing languages being made because like, you know, Google wants to compete with Facebook or some bullshit like that. But that's not the actual reason why languages are made normally. They're normally made to solve specific problems. Do you know what Node.js's problem was to solve, chat? Does anybody here know what, I'm sorry, not Node.js. Does anyone here know what JavaScript's true problem of solving was? Does anyone know? Like, if you tell me the actual reason, I'll be very surprised. Because not many people can say it. Better than Java, I mean, sure, but there's more to that than it just being Java, you know, being, you know, because it's not even, like, it doesn't even, like, you know, to have an embedded browser language within a few weeks or whatever. Nope. That was a result of it. But that's not why we built it. Netscape ship? Nope. Pop-up ads? Yeah, exactly. To be able to put So, guys, JavaScript... Okay. I'm old. Fuck, I'm old. Put a 1 in chat if you remember the internet before JavaScript. Anybody? Anybody besides me? Anybody besides me remember the internet before JavaScript? Yeah? Okay. Cool, you're all old too. We're in a circumstance where like it was just too hard to do too many fucking things, right? And yeah, Space Jam website, exactly. Yeah, good old fashioned, you know, action script, I think, whatever it's called. So the reason why JavaScript was made was basically, it's literally right in the name, JavaScript. It's purely a language that is supposed to be very malleable. And when we talk about programming languages, like these are actual characteristics of languages that are talked about and considered when a language is made. How malleable is it? How easy is it to just sit down and build something really, really quickly, right? That is the first big problem that JavaScript solved at the time. At the time, we only had like Java. We only had like, you know, some other things. And the TLDR is like, it was very difficult to build with these things. And so one of the big reasons why we built JavaScript was just to remove all of that overhead, right? Type safety, whatever, like just across the board, right? Whatever you can think of like .NET, JavaScript removed, essentially. So if you think about that decision alone, you then basically, it's like owning a gun and then just being like, all right, we're going to take the safety off. We don't need any type of sights, you know, and we're just going to shoot. Like it's lightweight. It's very quick. It's shootable. You can put it in your pocket. Like you know, okay. Not that I'm saying anybody should do this. Gun might not be the best example. Don't really feel good about this anymore. But my point is still the same, which is like, as you remove elements of something, it becomes more lightweight. It becomes easier for you to work with. And that's JavaScript. JavaScript became very lightweight. Again, it doesn't have... And because of that, that was when we went, oh my God, this makes sense to put it in a browser. And that's why we didn't have JavaScript for you know, one of the biggest reasons why we really moved to JavaScript was because of Apple. Does anybody else remember Apple just being like, yo, so yeah, Flash, we're going to do our own thing. You know what I mean? That was a lot of it. So when you consider what JavaScript's purpose really is, which is to write stuff very, very fast without having a lot of like, you know, safeties and things like that, you can shoot yourself in the foot super easily. Excuse me. Now take that same concoction of shooting your foot really easily, and then apply it to brand new engineers who don't know anything. Boom, 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 boom. That's literally what it became. It just became engineers just shooting themselves in the foot left and right building software because it's not being built right. You know what I mean? It's being built fast. It's being built agile. It's being, you know, and so that's why, in my personal opinion, that's why so many people hate JavaScript today, is because they got into it with a lot of hope and good expectations around it. And then it was like that GIF from Community. This one right here. Where like after you've been in it for a while, right? It's like this. Like this is how you feel like after doing JavaScript for like 3 years. Right there. That's how you feel. Because you wanted nice things. You wanted that front end to work every time. You wanted that API service to not have null failures constantly. But because you chose JavaScript, that's where you are. Did somebody clip foot guns? Yeah. And that's really, yeah, that's a big reason why we kind of are the, you know, where we are right now. So I'm stepping away from JavaScript, not because I, you know, just think it's a terrible language or anything like that, but it's because I don't want to solve problems that way anymore, right? This was all built in JavaScript in like a day. Like, look, the recording pipeline, dude, look at this. It's probably got like 4 commits. The publisher, I guarantee you, probably only got like 4 or 5 commits. It's very, very simple. Like, chat, it's literally 3 files. What is going on with my internet? Hello? Hello? I'm going to learn Rust for front end. Do you watch the Primogen? I'm sorry. Okay, I might be a little bit of a shady bitch today, and I'm totally teasing. So I do know that. Sorry about it, right? If that's what you're doing. Oh yeah, I'm super not sure if that was sarcasm either, but mine was as well. So I do know that there is a a upcoming rise. Look at this, 2 commits. Oh my god, it's 2 commits, bro. I was right. Look at this, it's 2 commits. That's the power of JavaScript. Seriously, that is the power of JavaScript. If you get that good with JavaScript, I built, look, like, think about this, chat. I built this whole recording publisher in 2 commits, and I haven't touched it in 6 months. Like, that's how easy it is to build stuff with JavaScript, especially if you want to, you know, set it and forget it. Which, by the way, I'm totally kidding. I love, you know, we love Prime. But in all seriousness, yeah, no, I know that WASM and like all these other things are getting really big. I just don't know I just don't know the practicality of them yet, to be honest. I haven't messed with them, and to be honest with you, I haven't been able to tune into his streams lately either. So like I haven't seen anybody else working with it either, so I don't really know. It seems promising though. I will say that. It seems promising. I'm hyped about it. I hope we can replace this just terribleness that we have of the internet right now. And yeah, I hope Rust can help. I really don't know the practicality of it right now. Like for me, it's just like, cool. It's the same thing as if pig slide. Like, okay, it'd be cool. You know, like, here's like, let's look at the converter. The converter is 3 commits, chat. It's 3 commits. You guys see what I'm saying? I built this whole recording pipeline with like, all right, I'm going to do a reference to Iron Man here, right? I built this pipeline in a cave with a bunch of scraps. That's literally how we built this pipeline, chat. I Tony Stark built it in a cave with a bunch of scraps, and it's literally been working perfectly since then, right? But it's not the Mark II, baby. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the next suit, and we need that next suit. We need to fly. We need to soar, and that's where Go, Rust, other languages like that can really help you go. Foot guns are the best, Scotty, dude. Thank you for the 7 months, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna rewrite this in Go. I'm down for that. If we're gonna rewrite, we need to think about what we need. Like, seriously, we actually do, because I'm not rewriting and then just like streaming and being like, no, I don't know what we need to do. So I really do want to write down the required changes, right? So obviously, required changes, all services will be rewritten in Go to provide greater future support. We'll just do for greater future support. And why are even people taking a language like Rust that was aimed at a very low programming and making builds of front ends? Because they realize that if they can apply it everywhere, there can be more hype behind it. That's it. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll wait. That's it. JavaScript did the exact same thing. They just started going, oh, well, it can do this too. Technically, it can do this too. And it's just blurring the lines. That's what I don't like about the Rust movement right now, is the lines I do feel like are getting blurred a little bit. And I don't know, like, I already don't know when to use the language. So, like, not knowing when to use the language on top of, like, all of these other, mutations of it are just kind of like, I'm just going to wait until it becomes, a lot more standard. Like, I really do want to play with Rust more, but, like, it's just so hard for me to jump on things that aren't practical right now. Even Go is kind of hard to, like I'm kind of, as much as I love Go, like, I feel like Go's a little bit more, foundationed in the industry right now than Rust. But I could be wrong, because I know Rust is blowing up. I know it's blowing up. I just don't know if it's blowing up and being used or if it's just blowing up and being talked about. Do you have somebody recommended for DevOps? Guess what, chat? I do. Your boy is putting out his first course on DevOps. And guess what? You can get it. It's the front-end master's course that I'm literally going to be recording next Tuesday. So now that I've got you guys, or whoever's here, check it out. I am doing my first ever front-end master's course. And again, shout out to Prime, super homie. He was kind enough to connect us with the front-end master's people. And yeah, I'm going to be doing my very first front-end master's course on DevOps. It'll be filmed next Tuesday, so I highly recommend you check it out. I'm going to be real. This is where you should start. This isn't even me trying to sell myself here. I've looked at shit on the internet, man. I've looked at a lot of shit on the internet, and everybody just goes straight to the technology. Got to use Ansible. Got to use this. Got to use that. Got to use this. And like, nobody talks about why you should use these things. What do I look at DevOps for developers? What does it say here? Gain knowledge to define the why, the what, and the who for DevOps at any company, right? Be empowered to create standards and rules within an organization that help enable better practices around common developer problems. Help define reliable problem solving through team collaboration and technical documentation. And then take the first steps into a career of DevOps and automation through that, right? Or in infrastructure through that. This course is going to be the first course that I've ever seen that's going to start with theory as it should, and setting proper expectations into what DevOps is so that you can look at technologies and use them appropriately. That's one of the biggest problems with DevOps today is people just jump the tech. They're just like, ooh, tech, shiny, gotta do it. Hold on. Do you? Why do you need this? Right? That's my job is that. My job is not building things. My job is thinking about. My job is literally what you see here, chat. This is my job. Form or documentation and workflows. that is my chat, or that is my job. Cool, we're good. Russ is blowing up on Twitter and only there, in my opinion. Possible. I do, I am, contrary to belief, I am actually in the Twitter sphere of all that stuff. So it's possible, because that's really all I look at in some regards too. Although I do look at a lot of stuff like Hacker News and stuff like that. So maybe, I don't know. Yeah, you might be right on that one, actually. That's actually a good call out. I would actually be very surprised to know if we just like took our conversations off of Twitch and just brought them to Twitter. That'd be funny. Okay, so publisher needs to use the AWS SDK to look up files in the recording pipeline bucket in the /mkv path, right? So that's what we said. We said that it was going to be in the /mkv path in the bucket. In the MP needs to use AWS SDK to look up files in the MKV path inside the, there we go, recording pipeline archive bucket, right? So what's going to happen now is the publisher is going to do like an S3 LS, right, on the bucket in the MKV path. And all it's going to do is it's going to return fully qualified S3 paths for conversion. That's it. It's not going to, like, it doesn't actually queue anything. It just simply says, all right, here's all my S3 paths. And then it's going to publish each one of those file createds to the pub sub. Okay. So here's another question. Now that we've at least got the publisher figured out, what about pub sub? Chat, help me out here. What Amazon offerings include pub sub? I don't remember. I know there's like 4 of them. Yeah, I take temperature via Hacker News. Trending articles. My Twitter followers are too insulated to be trusted for anything. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna put this out there. My Twitter feed gets flooded by a few individuals that I love very much. They're very great friends, but god damn, do they flood my Twitter. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I swear to God, all I'm going to say is that every now and then I open up Twitter and I just see the same people constantly posting. I wish I had more, like I genuinely wish I had more time to do it. I'm also just not good at it. I admire them though too. Like I'm not very good at social media, so I guess if I was better at it, you know, then I'd probably enjoy it more, which is what I'm sure they're doing, just having a good time. So I'm not trying to talk shit. I will say the amount I open stuff up and I'm just like, holy crap, I just looked at your post a second ago. Now I see another one. AWS SNS, SQS. Isn't it SQS? So SQS is for, what's it called? Queues. And we're not at queues yet. Right now, we're just at pub sub. Yeah, SQS is queues. So AWS pub sub. What do we got? Maybe it's SNS. Yeah, it might be SNS. Yeah, it's SNS. Okay, yeah. Yep. You got it. Okay, so yeah, see, here's our pub. See, look at this. This is why I'm telling you, have Quirk tweet for you. This is why I told you guys, I know my shit. I'm glad you know your shit. I appreciate that. I love it when people know their shit because I don't always know all my shit. So it's nice to have you guys there. What's up? Dude, I'm sorry. Cotter, I know you want me to call you Coder, but bro, I just like, it's, my brain is so used to calling you Cotter. What's up, dude? How's it going, buddy? Coder. AWS SQS Lambda or Amazon Simple Storage Service. Wait, S3 does what? Not bad. I'm good, man. I'm good. Okay. So look here. Look at this publisher. Hey, chat. Anything look familiar here? Anything look slightly familiar here? Like maybe I'm like using a design that's very common. Oh, look at that. There's a publisher. Oh my gosh, we have a publisher. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Oh my God. Right? Like, okay. So what that means is that the publisher is going to have to broadcast to an SQS topic. So, needs to broadcast to SNS topic for file created event, right? So that's the third thing that we can change here, where we can say SNS, right, will use AWS SNS, and the publisher will publish, right, this out to here. Now, what's also super interesting, we might not need the subscriber anymore. And you might be like, hey, BG, why is that? Because I'm pretty sure SNS can route specific topics to SQS queues. As a matter of fact, I'm like 99.9% sure of that because I do that at work, right? So there is a solid chance that we don't even need this anymore. And then what we do is we do this. Right? And so what happens is SNS publishes to SQS, and then our workers just sit on SQS waiting for stuff to process, right? So technically, after the publisher, okay, so PubSub need to create SNS topics which handle multiple events within recording pipeline. Dude, you know what's funny, chat, is like I'm showing you guys like really how to build good systems right now. I really am. And one of the things that's really tough about doing what I do is like it's so hard to make sure we're always on the same page, right? So please ask questions if you need questions answered, because honestly, there's a lot of really good information here. I'm showing you guys how to use event systems. I'm showing you guys how to route queues or how to route to queues with event systems. Like I'm showing you guys how to create microservices. I'm showing you how to route, you know, via step-by-step through event systems to create pipelines. Like there's actually a lot of really, really good information here that like, if any of you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, could be very, very helpful. You just gotta pay attention because it's a lot. I get it. I totally get that it's a lot. And honestly, I'm surprised so many of you even want to watch me do this because I understand it's confusing. So ask questions. Edward, wouldn't this be much easier with an event bus? So I'm going to give you this argument, Denny, which is wait, what's confusing about this? Yeah, actually, that's my first argument. What's confusing about this? Topics, I would say messages. Oh, so no. So what we need to do is we need to create topics, or we need to actually, let's say we need to migrate SNFs to Can I help you? He's like, I got busted. Look at him. He knows he's in trouble. Bubba? Why are you making so much noise? Alphonse. Oh, that's so weird. No, this is actually Edward. This is Edward. That's why he looks grumpy, because it's Edward. Oh, he doesn't want to stay. Bubba, what's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, okay. We're going. Go ahead. I thought Edward... No, they both are. Edward and Alphonse are black tabbies. Well, they're not black tabbies. They're technically... So Edward and Alphonse are actually... Starts with a B. I can't think of the name. But they're actually Bombay. They're Bombay cats. Yeah, they're not normal tabbies. They're actually Bombay cats because they're fucking huge. All right, so need to migrate SNS topics. So if I'm understanding correctly, they are using Pulumi for Infra and Node.js. He's trying to migrate that to Go. So there's a couple things that we're migrating to Go. We're migrating our Pulumi automation to Go, but we're also, and I asked Chad if they wanted us to do this, the publisher, which is, we'll just say a microservice, right? The worker... microservice, and the worker here are microservices, and these are written in Node right now. And what we want to do is we want to convert these also to Go. So our automation is going to be in Go for sure, but we're also going to rewrite our microservices. And this is giving us an opportunity to say like, okay, well, do we even need things? Now, like I said, I know, and I'm going to argue this to some of you guys, okay? You guys ready for this? I would argue that this is simpler than event busts. And you might go, BG, why is that? Because I automate everything. For me, these are just resources in Pulumi, you know, these are just resources in, you know, Pulumi automation. So all I have to do is just write a pub sub topic and then, you know, tell a queue to listen onto that topic. Like, I don't understand what the challenge is here. Like, I don't know why that would be difficult. You see what I'm saying? So like, I'm just trying to do the bare, simplest thing of what we want to do right now to get us working, right? If I go with like event bus or something like that, it could work, but, and here's where the but really happens. Event bus leans on all of this stuff. Like event bus leans on SQS and SNS and like it's that under the hood. What's the difference? It's automated. That's it. It's automated. You know what I mean? It's an easier way of setting these things up. Okay, cool. Sorry, I just got an email. Pulumi and your microservices are all in Node.js, and now you want to move to Go. I appreciate taking the time to respond. Yep, you got it. That's literally it. Yep. Everything's basically getting moved to Go. Yeah. So Denny, help me understand why. I guess I need to know what needs to get done first. So, okay. So again, what we're talking about to go through this whole process, right, is we're now going to have a bucket in Amazon. This bucket will have our MKV files and our MP4 files. However, the MKV files are what are going to be processed so we get MP4 files. So like, look at this whole, look at this whole flow. The publisher goes out to the bucket to find MKVs. Those get pumped into PubSub as file created events. Those file created events then get dropped into their respective queues. So in this case, when we get a file created event with a specific file, SQS is going to see that queue, and then it's going to drop it down onto the worker microservice to actually handle the convert process. That convert process is going to dump a file onto EFS of the actual conversion. And you might say, well, hey, BG, why aren't you just uploading it here? Well, the reason for that is because we want to be able to convert and archive at the same time, right? So once a conversion is done, we immediately want to hand it off to an archiver. We don't want to, you know, have everything in one go, because then that means I can have two things converting while one thing's uploading, right? And upload sometimes takes just as long as conversion because of big files, right? So the idea is we're separating the work by saying, okay, with file created, you go to convert, and with file converted, you go to archive, right? And so this middleman here of EFS workspace is the handoff between all of these different jobs. What's cool about this too, and this is something else I want to exemplify to you guys, in the future, we can easily add more steps to this, right? Because this is essentially an event-driven pipeline, in the future, if I'm like, you know what, now I want to not just convert, but like edit somehow. Well, all we have to do is create a new worker that handles that work for us, create a queue for it, and then tell SNS which event it's going to be listening for. And so what'll happen is once we go to convert and once we go to archive, we'll then echo another event saying file archived, right? Just like this. And then file archived will trigger another workload, essentially, right? And so this is how we make this recording pipeline completely, you know, reusable and things like that, because we can just keep adding to the pipeline. We could just say, okay, well, you know, now we want to add, you know, file archived. Well, file archived, once that's done, will trigger, you know, another event in the system to do something else, right? And so who knows, maybe at some point we want to add closed captioning to our, you know, to our VODs, or we want to do some other kind of automated thing, right? Well, all we'd have to do is add another step to our process and add a worker, and it just grows and grows and grows, right? So that's why we're separating these steps, where we're saying like, okay, convert happens here, archive happens here, and then this middle space is really where, you know, we keep everything is kept until it's moved to where it needs to be. And like archive, for example, maybe it's the last step, and maybe we want to put something between convert and archive. How do we do that, right? And that's a whole other problem. But yeah, you get the idea. Do you need a converter use service for that? You could use a listener in S3 with a Lambda to extract metadata and AWS BD convert to deal with the conversion. So I know, and I'm going to be fair, they're using the same shit that I am underneath the hood. Like more than likely, if not some type of variant. I'm using ffmpeg, and it's literally one of the industry standards for converting things. Like Amazon uses it for stuff. Google uses it for, like, everybody uses ffmpeg for stuff. It's just a super common, really well built encoder and transcoder and stuff like that. So I'm using ffmpeg. Like, bottom line, ffmpeg is why we're here, right? If I wasn't using ffmpeg, then sure, I could, in fact, put the conversion potentially on AWS Media and convert. However, it would mean that I would have to step out of the pipeline, for one, right? Like, I'd have to figure out basically how to get that step to work with other things. And it might cost me more, right? Like, that's another just like really big thing is like, that's actual straight conversion costs versus like, I'm really just paying for CPU here. You know what I mean? Because it's my microservice that I'm hosting in my own thing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not something not to not look at Omnicorn. Like, I don't want you to think it's, I just, what I mean to say is this is the more straightforward path for us right now. If I take that path that you're talking about, I have to like learn a whole bunch of stuff. You reminded me of 2010 when I was working with PHP ffmpeg for a CMS called PHP Fox. Nice. I'm glad I could. Put me in your Microsoft, I appreciate, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, you're totally welcome. What is the EFS for, and can you mount it? Do you know what EFS is, Denny? Would be my first question. Yeah, the cost efficiency for sure. 100%. You nailed it. Yeah. We're balling on a budget, chat. All right. We are balling on a budget. All right. Now, if this was like a company I was working for, then I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care at all about costs, really. I would just build the best possible thing that, gets us there. But because I'm literally, because we're literally paying for this with your guys' subscriptions. Hi, chat. I need to be very clear on that. You guys are what helps us move forward. Your guys' subs, your guys' donations, like, we spend $400 a month in AWS costs. And all of that comes from you guys. And your guys' support is literally what makes it so that we can do this. So, I have to take into consideration, how much we're making and, stuff like that. So this is, us trying to do this within our means, essentially, right? I'm going to need an itemized receipt. I love that. We have one, Grid Warrior. Believe it or not, we have one. All of it's in our what's it called stuff, banking stuff. But yeah, yo, facts. Yeah, right. But yeah, no, real talk. You guys are the reason why we can do this stuff. So honestly, once we get to a point where we're like, probably a decently sized bigger, which will probably be like next year. My goal is to next year for us to have like a 250, 300 viewer average constantly. And like, we're getting there now. Like we're, again, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. We're getting there, but I'm also, I always also just try and be transparent about these things. We are definitely moving as forward as quickly as we can. What is the bulk of the AWS cost? EC2. Yeah. EC2, which is what it always is. EC2 just hands down will always just fucking suck your bank account dry. Yep, always is. Always is. So how are you going to run the U service? Container, Lambda? This is all in Kubernetes. So here, let's zoom out a little bit more and let's look at the infrastructure side of things. So this is the infrastructure map. So you were looking at the recording pipeline and just like how it processes. But now you're actually, and again, sorry for like blinding you here. But now you're actually looking at the infrastructure map, right? And so in this scenario, right, we have our stream machine here, which has our footage on it, right? And then what's going to happen is our editor or whoever, right, me, whoever, is going to use AWS CLI to upload that to the bucket. Now, one thing we got to note is we're not doing this anymore, right? We said we were going to do this. So realistically, what happens now is this bucket becomes our central point for everything, right? Like this. And so our EKS cluster, here's our VPC, right? Here's our VPC. We have our EKS cluster, and inside of that EKS cluster runs, guess what? Our services, our microservices, our publisher, our worker, right? And our other worker, right? And that is going to be running on Spot instances. Right now, we're not running on Spot, but in the future, we will be. So NP Sony, calm down. I'll explain why in a second. You should know I have very good reasons for everything I do. And once I explain it to you, you will go, oh. So just give me a second. But it's not an invalid. Here's what I will say. You're in the right spot to be thinking if we should be using it or not. And for that, I am proud of you. That is a good call out. But there's reason for it. Trust me. So yeah, so we have our Spot instance here. Right. And then, of course, the Spot instance is going to have the, all of the containers, everything running on it. And so that's going to go out to, again, the bucket. It's going to take care of all the conversions and stuff. And it's basically just going to go right back to the bucket. And so this really is the infrastructure we need. We have our stream machine, which uses AWS CLI to upload into the bucket. Right. And then our Kubernetes cluster basically attaches to the bucket and does all the conversions so that when we want to download, we can download that right back from the bucket, right? Now we said, hey, why Kubernetes here, BG? Why Kubernetes? Are you ready for my rant? Chat, give me a 1 in chat if you're ready for my rant, because it's going to be fast and you better be ready for it. Okay? Ready? All right, good. That was the only person I really cared about. I'm just kidding. I love you all. We're balling on a budget. That's the first big one. We're balling on a budget. I cannot cut ECS costs. Okay? That's the first thing. ECS is great. I use it at work. It's not a bad platform at all. However, ECS itself, Elastic Container Service, is too fucking expensive. Okay? So that's the first thing you need to consider. Okay? Second thing, Kubernetes and why you use it is very important. Now, if your assumption here is that I am just using Kubernetes here for just the recording pipeline, you would be wrong. I have multiple other services that are running in the cloud as well that run using the exact same container orchestrator. So what does that mean? That means that, just like Joseph said, Kubernetes is cloud agnostic. So if I ever want to move to Google, if I ever want to move to other things outside of what we're talking about, and this is why it's so important to be concerned about vendor lock-in, because what none of us have talked about is what happens if I want to leave Amazon. Well, if I want to leave Amazon, I literally have to rewrite my fucking software. Think about that. Bam. Already a problem. Right? So it's very important to consider why you're using something for something. I'm using Kubernetes because I want to be able to run my container deployments anywhere. And Kubernetes gives me the ability to do that because it is a completely separated containerization orchestrator that can run anywhere. So, like, it doesn't matter about, anything else except for I just want to be able to move as easily as I can. Now, honestly, if I had kept what I had with like Rabbit and stuff like that, then that means I'm completely self-contained within the Kubernetes cluster. And that means it is completely portable and I can run it anywhere, right? Because we've decided, well, we're going to use Amazon for a while. We know we're gonna, and we kind of want to save some money, right? That's why we're saying, okay, we can lean on AWS SDK and buckets and stuff like that, right? But really, why you use Kubernetes is just to simply make sure that you don't lock in your containers wherever you are, right? At Hippo, if we wanted to move our whole container, orchestration, we'd first have to remove it from ECS, right? Whereas like if we were running EKS, then we just need another Kubernetes cluster and all of our automation stays the same. That's a massive win, chat. Hey, I want to move from one cloud to another, but guess what? My automation doesn't have to change. Like, think about the power behind that, right? We've done that because we run Kubernetes on-prem, we run Kubernetes in the cloud, and we run Kubernetes basically anywhere we feel these are things that we're going to have to move around a lot. For example, the recording pipeline used to be on Kubernetes on-prem, right? So it makes sense to just say, all right, well, let's redeploy these to Kubernetes in the cloud because bam. Serverless options, right? So Lambdas and stuff like that. I'm going to be freaking super, super blunt with this one. If you have the expectation that you should be running a Lambda for more than like 90 seconds, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Wrong. You're wrong. You are wrong. I am sorry, but I will fight anybody over that. That is not what Lambdas are for, okay? Lambdas are meant to be very, very small atomic functions that handle intrinsic, specific small tasks before it goes to another small task. You're literally supposed to just create a function that does something. Now, if you are creating Lambdas that does like fucking 10 other things in them, you're doing Lambdas wrong, okay? You're doing them wrong, and I'm sorry to say that, but you are, okay? So that's a big frustration to me when I hear people say like, why not Lambda and stuff like that? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not a good perspective that somebody has on Lambda. Ideally, what we would do with Lambda, if we wanted to do this, is we would just take like just the conversion, like literally just the conversion function. That's it. And that's all it does, right? But because conversions takes like here's a question, chat. If I could use Lambda to do this, then why do they have a whole media pipeline? You see my point? Like, Lambda is not just like a one-size-fits-all solution to where it's just like serverless isn't that. Serverless is meant to be like sprinkling of functions on top of your logic, right? It's not meant to be core logic that everything runs off of. You can do that, sure, if you want, right? But you're not building a system that like, you know, is commonly supported, I guess is what I mean to say. And it doesn't mean you can't even get away with some of these things on Lambda. You totally can, right? But like, what is Lambda's real freaking purpose? It's to create functions. It's to create small, compact functions, right? That enable you to reuse these functions over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and really fast use them as well. That's what Lambda is really for. So in this case, it might seem like it's cool to, you know, well, it's one function. Why not just put that into a Lambda? But when you really think about it, memory as well. Lambdas don't do well with memory. CPU, like you can't always like scale out to having like 20 CPUs or something like that because it's one Lambda and one function. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of like things to consider here. You know what I mean? I was actually thinking about cost. Kubernetes product ready will cost more in hours than I run Kubernetes for Activision Blizzard. Cool. Compared to something like, let's say, Nomad, trivial like Portainer. But since you said you've got other things running, it makes total sense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not about, it's a zoom out thing, right? NP, right? It's just zoom out. Once you zoom out, you go, oh, okay. We're just zoomed in right now. We're looking at one system that we built, but we've got a lot of systems that sit on Kubernetes. Yeah. To give you a few of them, Quirk, right? So Quirk itself, all of its systems. So like this site, you guys doing this, like if you guys go in here and you go like, I'm gonna change the light thread, that's sitting in Kubernetes right now as workers on queues, right? What else? The bot, right? So ping, right? The bot itself, and getting a message. Now these have cold start because you know what? These are in Lambdas. Why are these in Lambdas? Chat, why would I put command responses in Lambdas, but maybe not, encoding of video files? Oh, NP. No. You're great, man. Listen, I want you to be here. I really, really do. I want you to be here because especially people who have experience, like it's always great to have, like you're literally fueling the conversation, my friend. So no, you're great. Thank you for being here. Seriously, you didn't come off as rude at all. I'm just going to hit you. Like we're having, we're doing the engineering thing right now. We're just talking, baby. We're growing. We're growing as people and as engineers, and we're having that conversation. So, and I want to be very, very clear on this as well. There's no hatred in this chat. Seriously, there's no hatred. There's no racism. There's no bigotry. There's nothing in this chat besides technical discussions to help ourselves grow as engineers. That's it. And if I see anything outside of that, you get banned. Seriously. So don't feel bad at all. Like you're doing great, man. Seriously. Lambda is event driven. Exactly. What happens when I come in here and then I do ping? That's an event, right? Look at how fast it responds now as well, right? We don't care about cold start with something like a bot response, right? And we don't care about like how quick, how long it's going to run, because realistically these should run very, very fast, right? And so, yeah, this is essentially why functions work well here, but they may not look or work well somewhere else, right? Did you look at I have, yeah. A lot of people have shown me. So here, I can show you some of the links I've gotten already. Was the media code AWS? Like, that's another thing too, is like media convert. Like, Amazon has bought so many companies that like it has 9 products that do almost the same fucking thing. And like, that's another thing that really annoys me about Amazon is like, it really is that bad. Like, you kind of have to really find what you're looking for. And like, this isn't like, honestly, media convert really might not be that bad, except for it's probably just going to be outrageously expensive. And, realistically, I could probably make less, or, I could probably save money, running these in ffmpeg containers than doing this. But I will argue, and here's where I will always argue truth here, chat. Here's the truth statement. At scale, this is probably not as good. And you might say, why? Because it's going to cost a shit ton more. Bottom line, plain and simple. Okay. However, at my current scale, this probably does not matter much, because we only convert one, like what, I stream 3 times a week. So we convert like what, 3 videos a week, if that. You get where I'm coming from there, chat? So like here is actually not a terrible thing. You know what I mean? Here, like if we wanted to lean on something like media convert or something like that, like we probably actually could, because again, we're not going to be processing that many, we're not going to be processing that many things a week or whatever. However, at scale, constant, like for example, I guarantee you Twitch uses either their own shit or something like that. If they use Amazon for that, I mean, transcoding, like that's happening 24/7, dude. Like they are constantly transcoding videos and stuff like that. So Twitch using something like that would probably it'd probably go through the fucking roof, So that's something else to consider. Yeah. Download error should be on the other side. What's that? Download error? What download error? Download error. What are you talking about? What? How long does it take to process a video? Like 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I was running them on very, very powerful machines here, so they actually converted pretty quickly. Amazon owns Twitch, I know. That's why I'm saying they probably either literally use media convert. You would think so, Malachi. I actually find it really funny that you would say that, because man, they just kind of went off on a friggin' crazy route when they said that their costs were ridiculous. So unfortunately, Malachi, Twitch actually gets charged from what they say, at least. I don't know if anybody has heard this, by the way, but Twitch literally said that they have to okay, hold on. It's somewhere in here. Twitch payout changes. It was in their payout changes. It's somewhere in here. They talk about AWS costs, and it's just total bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. You don't insult me as a DevOps engineer like that. Where's the article? Does anyone have the article that Twitch put out where they said, like, that they... Where is that? Does anyone have the actual what's it called? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Did Twitch just like shove that shit deep under the ocean to where now nobody's even thinking about it? Please tell me somebody remembers when Twitch announced that they were making changes, that one of their biggest reasons why they changed their payout processes was because Amazon costs are rough. And like, apparently they say like to run a stream, it costs them like $1,000 or something like that a month. And it, like, if that's true, which, okay, if that's true, who the fuck made their their agreement with Amazon? Thank you. Yeah. Here we go. Kotaku. Yeah. This is front page. Yeah. It is bullshit. Yeah. Twitch streamers are pissed that Amazon is taking more of their money for bullshit reasons. Yep. Yesterday, the president announced a change of revenue system that would mean that some of the top performing streamers will get less money. Now, obviously, we're not a top performing streamer, so it doesn't really fucking matter to us. However, that trickles down. That trickles down, and it's gonna. According to Clancy, Twitch was making this change in an... Ready for this, chat? Here it is. According to Clancy, Dan Clancy, the president of fucking Twitch, Twitch was making this change in order to afford increasing server costs. What? Do you need to hire me, Twitch? Seriously? Like, do you need to hire me? And then I can come in and do what I do best, which is save companies money? Like, what the actual... I have never seen a company... I've never seen a company say, you know what, our hosting costs kind of suck, so we're going to charge you more. Like, if anything, they've just subsidized it through other things, right? Like increasing charges on something or something. But to just flat out say, sorry, bro, our parent company who owns us isn't giving us a good enough of a deal, and so we gotta take more money from you. Sorry about that, bro. I'm sorry, dude. If I get banned for this, Twitch can go fuck themselves. Seriously, I don't even care at this point. Like, this is just, as a DevOps engineer who's been doing this for so long, it's insulting. This is literally people expecting people who don't know things to just go, oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I won't be able to have a better service, so I'm gonna do that. Like, fuck off. Sorry, I'm sorry. Pardon my rant there, but like, I hate that shit. And it was funny because Atoda is the one that showed it to me, and he was like, bro, you're gonna be pissed. But like, yeah, like that just makes no sense. So going back to like what we're building, right? We are trying to build it at least in a sense to where like if we scale or something like that, it's not going to hit us as much, right? What Amazon may have, or what Twitch may have done, which is probably really bad, is they may have had a lot of senior and or principal engineers who just said, well, you know what? Amazon owns us now, baby, so let's just use all Amazon software. And guess what? They shot themselves in the foot. Now, again, I don't know if that's true. I'm just making speculation here, but it just makes no fucking sense to me how the company that owns you is charging you so much for your own hosting services that you have to change how your customers are impacted on their literal lifeblood. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Anywho, if you want to know the article, if you want to read the article, it was shared in chat. Or do 37 signals. Why are we leaving the cloud? I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. There are just some things you cannot do in the cloud. And honestly, I wholeheartedly believe fucking processing gigabytes and gigabytes and terabytes of video footage might not be the cheapest thing to do in the cloud, Twitch. Fucking A. Like, it was a great excuse for a tax write-off for Amazon. Yeah, of course it was. Which I'm going to be, you want my real, personal, honest opinion here? This is Amazon squeezing. That's what this is. This is Amazon going, gotta get more money out of you, baby. Come on, give me more money. That's what I feel like this truly is. But again, that's just my own personal perspectives. Why don't I use Windows? What? Oh, why I use Windows? Oh, because it's in a VM. I develop in a VM, dude. There you go. I don't do my work on my actual host. I develop in a Linux. Well, I develop in a Nix OS VM technically, but okay. So yeah, so this looks good. The publish model allows messages to be broadcast into parts of synchronously a sibling to a message queue, a message topic. Provides a lightweight mechanism to broadcast asynchronous event notifications and endpoints that allow software components to connect to in order to send and receive those messages. Right. So what we're probably going to need to do as well is in the recording pipeline. So again, publisher sends out the pub sub, the queues. AWS pub sub queue event subscription. I know there's a way to do it. SNS topic payments. Lambda function. Right, yeah. So here's what we need. We need a topic for whatever the topic is, right? And we'll have multiple topics. We'll have like 3 of them, right? So we'll have file archived, file converted, file created, right? These will be our 3 topics, right? And then those topics will actually have listeners of SQS workers or of SQS queues, because you can do that. So what will end up happening is the SQS topic will get the event, and then that will get dropped into the actual queue for processing. And then what will happen is once the worker's done, it'll go back to PubSub and it'll emit the file converted, or the file, the file converted. That will go back to the queue, and then that'll go to our, yeah, okay, that looks good. What is your reason for developing in a VM? Because I can turn it off at the end of the day. It's completely isolated. I don't have to worry about my work being like, fucking up my main computer in any way, shape, or form. It's really just isolation. It's the plain and simple fact that if I also want 5 dev VMs, then I can easily do that, right? Like, think about this. How often have you thought, man, it'd be really fun to try this out? I don't have that problem. I just create a VM and I try it out. So there's a lot of flexibility and like power you get by just working in a virtualized environment. And yeah, that's why I do it. I'm going to be making a YouTube video on it soon, by the way. So if you guys are curious, be sure to subscribe to the YouTubes. Both of the YouTubes, by the way. In my opinion, I would just use Media Convert. I know. I've been... okay, so let's look here. So here's the problem with this, though. All right, you ready for this? Mindful Monk, because you're not wrong. This isn't a bad thing, right? But let's talk about this for a second. What I have right now is a system built that enables me to handle multiple different things with a file. So I can convert it, but what you guys aren't also paying attention to is I also archive it. And then in the future, we might do things like, add a watermark to it, right? Or something like that. So when we use the system that we're talking about here, this one, right? We have to consider, well, what's the input and what's the output, right? Well, the input is the source bucket and the output is the destination bucket. Well, then what we're probably going to need to do to just make this work well within our systems is find a way to mimic the events as they were doing as if we were going through here, right? So what would happen is we would probably still even do maybe we wouldn't do the file created. Again, I don't know Media Convert. I'm not sure if it just whenever it gets a new file, does it just process it? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the first thing. Okay, but see, Mindful Monk, you're literally exemplifying my point, which is we're stepping away from our current implementation once we start trying something else. Does that make sense? That's what I don't want to deal with right now, unless there's a very, very good reason as to why I would just replace, because I only want to replace this. I still want my archival process to work the way it's working. I want to be able to add other things. Like, this is a pipeline. This is a pipeline for doing tons of different things to videos, not just one thing. So I'm not against saying like, okay, how can we get convert in there? But once we get convert in there, what about archive? What about all these other things? Is it going to be, well, it's done over here, and then this is done over there, and then this is over here, and then, you know what I mean? Again, I'm not even saying it's a bad idea. I'm simply just arguing that with you because right now we have a very tightly coupled system that basically works well, entirely within itself. If we start leaning on other things, we have more of unknowns, right? So that's really the only reason why I'm really not trying it out. I do think I want to investigate it. Like I do think I want to try it. You know what I mean? I do. I just don't think I'm gonna like if anything, I'll just do a POC. You know what I mean? I'll just do a simple POC and I'll be like, bam, you know. It's not like, I guess that's what I mean to say, Mindful Monk. Until I did a POC on it, I wouldn't feel as confident using it like I do with the system we've built here. But it does not mean that it's still not a good solution. Definitely. It definitely could be a very good solution. It's just like, how would I build that solution into the systems I have already? You know what I mean? Actually, these need to go here like that. Yeah. And why pay AWS to do the services that he can build himself? I mean, yeah, that's another thing is like right now we're just paying. So like you guys were like, hey, BG, you're paying for costs all the time. Yeah, we've done this for not hundreds of years, but we've done this forever. Like it's only been in the past 4 or 5 years where we've been able to pay just for the compute power that we need. So I'm very used to saying like, okay, if I'm going to have services running all the time, I'm going to get my best benefit out of it. And again, as I said before, our Kubernetes cluster does not just have one thing on it. It's got a bunch of other different services running on it, you know, and we're reutilizing Kubernetes as well so that we can move our recording pipeline anywhere. So say, for example, in the future, chat, we find out that Google or Azure have better rates at compute than Amazon does, right? Because it's in Kubernetes, we just move to Kubernetes on that platform. That's it. Done, right? Once we start using even things like SNS or SQS, right? Or even buckets, right? This, and this is vendor lock-in. Plain and fucking simple. This is vendor lock-in. This is vendor lock-in. And this is vendor lock-in. Right? These are vendor lock-in. These three things right here. And until we make these less opinionated, they're always going to be vendor lock-in. And that's why before, this wasn't SQS, this was Redis, right? And this was a Redis service running in the Kubernetes cluster. And this was Rabbit, right? This was Rabbit running. But because we've said that we don't mind leaning on Amazon, we can do this, right? But again, these are vendor lock-in. Like this is vendor lock-in, plain and simple. Plain and simple, yeah. Linode has a better rate than EKS and AKS. Yeah, Linode's also not a cloud to me. Sorry. I don't consider Linode to be a cloud platform. I consider it to be called what it, in my mind, has always been called, which is a boutique hosting service. Meaning that they really try and solve for just specific hosting problems versus Amazon or Google, which are literally just like, we'll help you with anything. You know what I mean? We're a warehouse. Linode is not as much of a warehouse to me as like Amazon or Google is. And I'm just used to working in warehouses. You know what I mean? Well, GCP has a better implementation of Kubernetes and also transcoding service. Oh, that's cool. I mean, again, we'll start with what we've got, and then we'll investigate other stuff in the future. LKE though, of course. Should we create our own Kubernetes deployments and then call them AKE, AFKE, AF4KE? I like it. Let's do it. Okay, I think, how long have I had my Moonlander? Ooh, almost like 2 years now. I've had it for quite some time. Yeah. Okay, here's our plan of action, chat. Small providers just buy the big three in bulk and resell. Yes, and Linode is one of those. Linode, from what I know, they at least use S3 for all of their object storage. So if you use S3 or if you use object storage on Linode, more than likely that's actually just being hosted in S3 on Amazon. I'm planning on eventually getting a Moonlander. They're great. I love the Moonlander. Feel free to join the Discord, guys, by the way. Seriously, if you guys want to, ask questions, we have a bunch of other people who also have Moonlanders as well. So if you guys want to ask about, how we like them or stuff like that, feel free to jump in the Discord and ask. It's a good keyboard though. I really like the Moonlander. All the custom layouts, exactly. Yeah, all the custom layouts. All right, guys, listen up. I have been going for a solid 3 hours. I started a little late today, unfortunately, so I got to get going. I got to get to work. I got some stuff I got to do. However, we've made some really good decisions here. Are you ready? And this is what the next stream is going to look like Friday. So Friday, we're going to start rewriting all services in Go. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do, right? After we've rewritten all of the services in Go, then we're going to start rewriting all the Pulumi automation in Go, right? And we're going to do that, right? And then once we do that, we will then deploy infrastructure to AWS, right? And so these are the steps that we need to take here. Steps to take, right? So next stream, right? We're going to start rewriting all of our services in Go, right? And then after that stream, which will probably be like sometime next week, we'll then do the rewrite of Pulumi automation in Go. And then finally, that next stream after that is when we'll deploy the infrastructure. And it may get done sooner, but who knows? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Sincerely, with the bottom of my heart. You guys literally make this so much fun and enjoyable. So thank you. Don't ever feel like you can't say anything either. I love constructive criticism. I literally went through a course in college on constructive criticism. So there's really not much you could say to me that would piss me off because I'm pretty much used to it. But if you are new to our channel, please be sure to check out this little blurb right here. Basically, we are a variety channel hosted by myself, BG, as well as my good friend Atoda. By the way, chat, stay around for the raid because I want to raid the homie Melky. We're going to go raid Melky, chat. We're going to raid Melky! So stick around for the raid because I definitely want to go raid my brother from another mother. But again, thank you guys so much for being here today. Again, we're a co-hosted stream by myself as well as my good friend Atoda. Basically, I stream during the weekdays, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where I start anywhere between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am in San Diego. We are on the West Coast. So yeah, Denzel, I'm calling it, buddy. I'm so sorry. We're just about to raid Melky. But stick around for the raid because Melky's awesome and we love him very, very much. But it's good to see you, Denzel. How's it going, buddy? Outside of that, if you are also new, be sure to check out our Discord. Our Discord is a fantastic place where if you have questions about NixOS, if you have questions about DevOps, if you have questions about programming, Vim, whatever, infrastructure, it's a really awesome community. As you can see here, we also really try and make sure that we can help you guys. My body is ready, yes. But we, with questions and things like that. So feel free to join our community, lean on our community for help and things like that. Outside of that, there's also the YouTubes. We have 2 YouTube channels. The first one is our primary YouTube where a lot of our new content is going. So be sure to stick around for that because there's a lot of cool stuff here. This is our edited content, right? This is the edited content. The second one, however, is our VODs. So if you ever want to go back and catch something, there's 2 things I want to share with you about the VODs. One, they get uploaded periodically. So we upload them daily so that you guys can kind of catch them in little bits. However, I just recently reorganized the archives to where you actually now have playlists of things that we work on. Open source development, front-end development, Nix and NixOS, back-end development, technical discussions, infrastructure automation. So if you go to the page, this should be a little easier to navigate now, which should hopefully make it so that you guys can kind of go through the VODs as well and check out stuff. So be sure to check out both of our YouTubes, whether it be the main one or the VOD channel. Definitely would love to, make sure that we're growing those and putting more content on there for you guys. And then the last thing is social media. Be sure to follow us on the Twitters. And don't forget that we have the Front-End Masters course. Be sure to check out the Front-End Masters course. This is my first course ever. Chat, this is my first course ever. And so if you guys are super interested in DevOps, all of that kind of stuff, this is a good place to start. This is going to be next Tuesday, December 6th. We're going to be streaming it all day next Tuesday. So I hope to see you guys there. Regardless, if not, I hope to see you guys Friday and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you. You wonderful souls. Get in on the Melky raid. I want to give Melky a good raid because we love him. He's family. So get in on the Melky raid. If you guys don't know Melky, I mean, dude, just give it a second. You're going to love him. He's awesome. You're going to love him as much as we are. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to give the raid a few more seconds here so we can get a couple more people in here just so we can, again, show Melky some love. But again, don't forget, join the Discord. If you have questions about any of the stuff I'm working on or anything like that, hit me up. I'm here for you. Come on, just a couple more. Come on, just a couple more. Come on, baby. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. Come on. One more person join the raid. Yes. All right, I'm getting out of here. I love you guys. Enjoy the raid. I almost spit all over my microphone. Enjoy Melky's stream, and we'll see you soon. All right, guys. Peace out. Love you. See you in the Discord.